2025 WNBA Finals presented by YouTube TV. We'll begin with remarks from Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, and then we'll turn it over to question and answer.
Imagine receiving a key that could unlock a billion-dollar opportunity and a golden ticket to mainstream fame. Future, and you simply wouldn't turn it. That's exactly what the WNBA was in. The key was given to the league. Caitlin Clark is a multi-generational talent and cultural phenomenon, and while everyone on the planet observed, the league's commissioner, Cathy Engelbert, saw for the first time a ruling so brutal and confusing that it left millions. Many fans, both new and old, with one horrifying query: is the WNBA trying to discredit its own accomplishments on purpose? For decades, the league fought for every dollar in sponsorship, every piece of media exposure, and each and every stadium seat. Then one player appeared, and the entire equation changed overnight. This was more than just one spot on an Olympic team's roster. It was a pivotal moment that may dictate how, over the next 20 years, women's sports will evolve. Additionally, the choice that was taken has caused a continuous chaos of discussion, argument, and pure fury. The reality of what really happened in the WNBA's business offices and behind the United States, the closed doors of basketball, are more unsettling, more political, and point to a broader problem, more than anyone could have imagined, when a natural force unheard of in the history of the sport. It all began when they entered the courtroom. In college, Caitlin Clark was more than just a basketball player. She was a cultural tidal wave, a living, talking revolution in sneakers. Her performances for the Iowa Hawkeyes not only set women's basketball viewing records, basketball records were destroyed by them. Ignore it. Either male or female. In 2024, an incredible 24 million spectators watched the NCAA Women's Championship match, saw an average of 18.9 million viewers during her final exciting college performance. It was the most watched basketball. To put that number in perspective, there hasn't been a game of any kind in the US in 5 long years. The number of viewers that year exceeded the NBA Finals. It attracted more viewers than the final rounds of the Masters or the World Series. The message from the American people was as clear and loud as a stadium buzzer: people are eager to see Caitlin Clark play basketball, but just any basketball, and that wildly excited audience followed her directly to the WNBA when the historically failing Indiana team inevitably chose her first overall. Fever, the league, which had battled for 25 years to dispel the idea that it was a specialized sport, was suddenly, and for some reason, the most popular event in town. 2.1 million on average. The league's highest viewed game in over a decade was Clark's professional debut on ESPN2. 20 years. To make room for the tens of thousands of spectators, teams accustomed to playing in quiet, they were hurrying to move their home games against the Fever to massive NBA stadiums from mostly empty arenas. A large number of them were brand new WNBA fans who were excited to see her signature logo three-pointers. Fans sold out of her number 22 jersey within an hour of the draft. It outsold every player's book in addition to being a bestseller. Jerseys from all the other teams in the league combined. By herself, she was a package of economic stimulus. Transporting the most famous female athlete has logistical and security challenges. The number of commercial aircraft in the world was so high that the league had to deal with the long-discussed subject of private flight chartering for groups. The Caitlin Clark effect was real. It was the biggest donation the league has ever received, had ever been given, and it was quantifiable, though advertisers, viewers, and TV networks were thrilled. Regarding her presence, a completely different and considerably more hostile atmosphere was emerging within the league among the extremely athletes who could benefit from her fame. The red carpet was displayed to the public, but behind the scenes, painstaking preparations were underway for a nasty, almost sadistic greeting. It was glaringly obvious that Caitlin, from the first possession of her first game, Clark was the target. She endured severe, greater physical mistreatment than the typical rookie hazing or the "welcome to the league" moments that accompany being selected first overall. Without a foul call from the umpires, she was repeatedly elbowed, hip-checked, shoulder-checked, and knocked to the ground. As if they were involved in this unwritten test as well, the league's seasoned players seemed to have quietly concurred. To test her, break her, and show that the WNBA was a different animal. A location where her collegiate fame was pointless, but one specific incident completely exposed the situation and brought the world's attention to the pure, unadulterated hatred directed towards her. Kennedy Carter was anticipating the ball's arrival during a nationally televised game against the Chicago Sky. Clark was merely standing and not taking part in the play. Nearby, not shielding Carter. Carter's vicious, unannounced shoulder check and verbal abuse sent Clark in a violent act. He flew to the hardwood floor. There was no need to make a basketball play. It was an intentional act of animosity. Distant from the ball, a blatantly cheap shot, the referee's choice to declare it a common foul was so obviously inaccurate that league officials had to step in after the game and boost it to a blatant foul in reaction to criticism from the public. The response was far more revealing than the actual event. Carter failed to answer any questions about it during her post-game press conference, which was a revealing silence. The fact that Clark's college rival, teammate Angel Rhee, was captured on camera leaping up from the bench and applauding the aggressive actions was much more disturbing. It was not merely a powerful defense, this was a personal issue. This message was sent to Caitlin Clark as well as to the millions of people who follow her. Your new favorite, the one you think will save the league, has no place here. This ferocious hostility on the court was merely the external expression of a far larger and more important conflict occurring in private. A conflict between ego and power that would lead to a resolution. So surprising that the sports world would be completely taken aback. There was going to be a major global event. As things on the court were getting worse, for every professional athlete competing at the Olympics for their nation, the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris represent the pinnacle of success. A dream fulfilled, and practically everyone believed that the addition of Caitlin Clark to the squad was suitable for a celebrity of her exceptional stature. Fans, media analysts, and marketers are a given. The question was when, not if, the announcement will be made. Team USA women's basketball has had a long history of dominated global competition as a contemporary dynasty. It also seemed to be the most logical and obvious choice to bolster an already outstanding team with the most watched and well-liked basketball player in the world, despite her well-known gravity warping. The choice wasn't solely predicated on the fact that three-point range would be a lethal weapon against international zone defenses. On her undeniable skills, more importantly, it has to do with the growth and business of basketball. Presenting Caitlin Clark and the WNBA to billions of people at the Olympics would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Globally, executives at NBC, the Olympic broadcaster, were practically salivating over the potential viewership. The Caitlin camera was practically always there on screen, tracking her every move and drawing many millions of casual viewers from around the globe who had only heard stories about this Iowa basketball feeling. The business world saw her inclusion as a clear and crucial strategic move, not just something that was expected step toward the women's game's long-term survival and growth. The circumstances for her globally. The coronation in Paris was beautiful. A moment that could have changed her status as a national sensation to a true worldwide icon, gaining the WNBA legions of new fans in the process. Or so everyone on the planet thought. The revelation made a huge impact on the sports world despite being announced on a quiet weekend morning. A thunderclap that echoed through news networks and social media. The name of Caitlin Clark was absent from the U.S. women's Olympic basketball team's 12-person roster that was acquired by trustworthy insiders. The initial global reaction was pure, unadulterated disbelief, but it quickly gave way to a flood wave of flaming fury. How could the sport's most popular and powerful athlete be left at home by the committee for selection? Was it common sense, basketball logic, or business reasoning? The decision appeared to defy logic. The squad that was chosen included both seasoned pros and WNBA luminaries. Players such as the well-known Diana Taurasi, Brittany Gurrier, and Breanna Stewart. They were all exceptional athletes, previous champions as well as deserving people in their own right, but none of them possessed even a tiny bit of Caitlin Clark's fame, power, cultural significance, or the ability to draw in an audience. Not even close. Taking her off the squad appeared to more akin to a deeply personal political power maneuver than a merit-based basketball decision. The millions of new admirers she gained, those who were drawn to the sport on their own, were told that the player they adored wasn't. It was a horrible slap in the face to both her and them to be welcomed on the biggest platform. The response was intense, instantaneous and overpowering. A wave of outrage sprang out on television news networks, social media, and chat shows about sports. The news swiftly spread beyond the sports world and made national headlines. It turned into a wide-ranging conversation on gatekeeping, professional envy, and a shockingly disastrous failure of the highest level of leadership. After reaching a resolution, the committee unleashed a public relations nightmare of their own creation, and considering all the detractors who had previously claimed that the WNBA was an antiquated, a highly powerful weapon, was an elite group that actively opposed change and avoided widespread success. And the events that followed, the official attempt at an explanation, would just make the entire disastrous situation worse. In the face of an angry public, USA Basketball's decision-makers were forced to give an explanation. Protests and accusations of intentional exclusion. The official explanations for Clark's shocking dismissal were They were so inadequate that they were nearly obnoxious. The selection committee revealed information to the media through anonymous leaks. Revealed that, at the time of the selection, she had only participated in a small number of WNBA games, citing her lack of professional experience. Furthermore, they cautiously and ambiguously emphasized the importance of team bonding, suggesting that the inclusion of a media magnet star with such a large following may break the delicate equilibrium of the established group of veterans. But even the smallest inquiry completely undermined their weak defenses. When analysts and sports historians pointed out that previous celebrities like Candace Parker in 2008 and in 2016, Breanna Stewart made it to the Olympic squad as a rookie with no prior professional experience, the experience argument was quickly and vehemently disproved. Actually, cultivating fresh talent on the Olympic stage was the norm. The chemistry argument was, to be honest, even more obnoxious and obvious. The team's more seasoned players simply didn't want her, which was a barely concealed corporate slur. The story had been evolving for weeks, and she had cleverly and directly contributed to it. The WNBA was enraged by Clark's sudden, almost easy fame and the unmatched media attention she received. Old guard, everyone suspected that the committee was afraid, but no one would declare in public. The media circus that will inevitably travel with Clark to Paris was afraid. They were concerned that the media and supporters could take offense if the coach didn't give her enough playing time. Offense, above all, they were afraid of upsetting the powerful senior players, particularly Diana Taurasi, who, based on their actions on the court, was clearly unprepared to hand the reins to a new generation. And statements made in public. Furthermore, the official justifications were a poor front for a much more complicated and repulsive reality, one that was deeply rooted in internal league politics, jealousy, and personal grievances. However, the response was what truly revealed how vicious and well-considered the entire decision was, or lack thereof. From the one individual with the ability to calm the storm, the WNBA Commissioner was the center of attention. Cathy Engelbert. As the argument got out of control, this was her crucial chance to assume leadership, take control of the narrative, safeguard the most important asset for her league, and convince the millions of new fans that the WNBA was a cutting-edge, innovative company deserving of the spotlight. Instead, a masterclass was presented to the public in avoidance, business doublespeak, and a devastating opportunity one lost. Engelbert's statements in public were defensive, subdued, and completely unaware of the magnitude of the public's indignation. She kept trying to change the subject to the exceptional athletes who did make the squad while robotically supporting the impartiality of the selection committee procedure. This strategy effectively overlooked the 800-pound gorilla in the room. She was given an amazing opportunity to acknowledge Clark's enormous influence and to convey her excitement for her unavoidable future with Team USA. She could have positioned the league as the proud home of the most talked-about athlete in the world. A very talented player was at the center of a national scandal. Instead, she chose to use antiseptic, safe bureaucratic jargon. That didn't satisfy anyone and just fueled the flames. The video's title was actually chosen in a nasty way. It was more than just a committee excluding a gifted athlete from the team. The commissioner of the league made the choice, in the face of a crisis, to protect the status quo at the expense of her exploding star. That was a direct result of inward envy and